Guys, what if there was a way to buy our favorite sports cards for way less money than what we're actually willing to pay for them, while selling our cards for way more money than we'd be happy with taking? Well, that's exactly what masters of negotiation are capable of. And so in this video, I'm sharing 5 of the most powerful lessons taught by the former FBI's top hostage negotiator, Chris Voss, in his book, Never Split the Difference, and then how we can apply them to the wheelin' and dealin' we do online and at card shows so we can avoid both overpaying and shortchanging ourselves. And stay tuned to the end because I wrote detailed notes to this entire book that you can instantly download for free to help you negotiate not only better card deals, but also for a raise at work and better deals on your next car and house, which could easily put an extra $1 million or more back in your pocket over your lifetime. So with that being said, welcome back. Now let's get to work. First of all, I decided to read this book because I actually think I'm quite lousy at negotiation. I'm a very matter-of-fact guy and I don't really tap into all the psychological games that are being played. So please don't think of it like I'm preaching this to you. I'm just sharing what I'm learning from the real experts. Anyway, if you are not familiar with Chris Voss, he spent 24 years in the FBI where he became the lead international hostage negotiator and literally had to negotiate life and death situations with bank robbers, gang leaders, and terrorists. And so if he could successfully strike deals in some of the most high stakes situations in human history, we should be able to save a little coin on some cards. So the first lesson is simple but deceivingly powerful, which is the open-ended question. Instead of asking yes or no questions, what's great about the open-ended question is that it buys you time while giving your counterpart the illusion of control. Most people think that when they're talking, they're in control, but as Chris mentions in the book, negotiation is all about gathering as much information as possible, and so the goal is to flip over every rock. It also gets your counterpart to solve your own problems, which would result in negotiating with themselves. And so one of Chris's favorite questions is, how am I supposed to do that? Now think about it. How powerful is that question? It's basically saying, we're on the same team and I need your help to accomplish this and I value your input. He literally will repeat this over and over again in different forms as his counterpart gets more and more perplexed and will actually cave because they don't have an answer. So next time you're at a card show and you find a card you really like and the seller gives you a high price, just try saying, how am I supposed to do that? And see what happens. And no matter what, the price will not go up from there. The next lesson is more of a fact of negotiation, which is that we have 2 systems of thought. We have our animal mind, which is instinctual and emotional, and then we have our second system, which is slow and deliberate and logical, which I like to think that's mostly me. In other negotiation books, they utilize a very logic-based approach, but the problem is that we are emotional creatures, and so our emotional state dictates where our logic goes. And Chris gives a ton of examples of how this works. So he recommends to focus on the animal mind to develop our negotiation skills. And we do this with simple psychological tactics to calm our counterpart down, establish rapport, gain trust, elicit the verbalization of needs, and persuade the other person of our empathy. It reminds me of that famous quote which goes, "People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care." So by leading with empathy, they'll be way more open to anything we say. So during a negotiation, instead of just focusing on our rebuttal to win the debate, shift the goal to identifying what our counterpart actually needs and get them feeling safe enough to talk and talk and talk some more about what they want. Something else worth mentioning is that it's vital that we go in with the mindset of the person across from me is my ally. The issue we're debating is actually the adversary. I think a lot of people go in with the mindset that the person they're negotiating with is the adversary, and that of course leads to a complete lack of empathy and a hostile situation. Lesson 3 is to get the other person to say no. And this is interesting because another popular negotiation book is called Getting to Yes, which is more logic-based, but Chris again points out the flaws in that approach and how no actually starts the negotiation instead of ending it. So when the person you're negotiating with can freely say no, they will feel in control because they've successfully verbally protected themselves so they can relax more easily. I see it as one way of clarifying what's off the board so we can work backwards and strike a deal. So just don't be afraid of no, and then afterwards you could follow up with something like, what about this doesn't work for you, in order to gather more information. Something else that is really powerful for your counterpart to say is that's right and not you're right. And that's something I included in the detailed notes that you could download. Just read the pinned comment below this video for more information. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video, please pound that like button to show your support. It really means a lot. On to number 4, which is a process of how to get them to negotiate against themselves, which is pretty damn amazing, to be honest. So first of all, Chris says we can usually express no 4 times before actually saying the word. The first is, how am I supposed to do that? Which you want to say in a very differential way, so it sounds more of like a request for help versus an insult. The next time you say something like, your offer is very generous, I'm sorry, that just doesn't work for me. And this works well because you're not giving them a counteroffer. You're making them go back to their drawing board and offer you something more lucrative. And also, the I'm sorry part actually softens the rejection. So the third time you say, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I just can't do that. So it's a bit more direct, and you're also expressing your inability to perform, which can trigger empathy from their side. And now on to the fourth time, you say, I'm sorry, no. And again, you're using the word sorry and you're saying it like, damn, I wish there was a way we could resolve this. No insult, no aggression at all. Chris also mentions that if you have to go further, just say no with a downward inflection in your voice, like a tone of regret. Again, not like you're angry or anything like that. Okay, so lesson 5, and this one was tough because the whole book is filled with great lessons and tips, but I think this one is the most practical for sports cards negotiations, whether it's online or in person, and it's referred to as the Ackerman model of bargaining. Essentially, it's setting up how much you want to buy something for. So the first thing you're going to do is set your target price. And let's say you want to pay no more than $1,000 for a specific card. Next is to set your first offer at 65% of the target price. And I will say that you want to be careful with insulting the seller if you put in a lowball offer on a card that's well known to be worth $1,500. You could be really insulting the seller and starting off on a bad note. So maybe if it's a card that doesn't have many comps or a lot of people are looking to sell, you use this method for. But anyway, after the first offer gets rejected, as it should, you're going to offer 85% of your target price. And in the meantime, between each offer, you're using all the other tips in the book to evoke empathy, getting them to negotiate with themselves. And guys, again, there's a ton of great tips in the book. I just couldn't fit them all in here. But after all of that, and they reject it, you offer 95% of your target price. And then you go through more open-ended questions, tire them out to a degree. And then on your final offer, and this is what's really important, you use a precise amount, like $987.54. And I learned that that's a lot more powerful than just $1,000 because it looks like you've done some real negotiation and calculation in your mind, and that is really all you can afford. Also, try and throw in a non-monetary item because usually this signals we're at our final offer. So for example, it's like saying, I'll tell you what, I can only offer $987.54. However, I'll throw in an autographed headshot of Dustin, the personal finance dad, as well. It turns out that people that receive concessions often feel better than those who are given a single firm, fair offer, even when they end up paying more. And it sounds crazy, but again, we're way more emotional and animal brain than we like to think we are. Now, there was so much I didn't have a chance to mention, like why we should avoid using why in our open-ended questions, and how to discover the black swans in our counterpart, which are pretty much the golden eggs to any negotiation. But fortunately, I included those in the detailed notes I wrote for Never Split the Difference. To instantly download those notes, visit thecomebackcardinvestor.com and register on my homepage, and then you'll see the link once you register. Just click it to open and copy and paste for future reference if you want. And if you're already on my weekly newsletter, I'll have the link for you at the bottom of every email. Guys, if this was helpful, please hit that thumbs up button. That means a ton. It really helps me, and I hope to see you next time. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments section as well. See ya.